God damn it.
You're doing good.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was.
Then why am I fudging it up?
Because you're speaking to a camera.
God damn. In February of 1980, a film premiered in Milan which was so shocking, so depraved, and so realistic in its depiction of violence that it resulted in the arrest of its director. The infamous Cannibal Holocaust. A mockumentary about a group of filmmakers who venture off into the Amazon and find themselves on the menu of the native tribes people, the film set the world ablaze with controversy upon its release. Murder, mutilation, impalement, and all the other wonderful things that people who live in a jungle just love to do. The film's effects were so convincing that director Ruggero Deodato was asked to come into court. Oh, he wasn't asked to come into court, he was fucking arrested.
Director Ricardo.
It's not Ricardo, it's Ruggero. God damn it, Ruggero, why'd you do it? Why'd you kill him? That the director Ruggero Deodato was arrested and asked to come into court to prove that he had not killed off all of his actors. And this was made even more awkward given the fact that he had asked his actors to sign agreements not to appear in any promotional material for a full year following the film's release to sell the fact that they were actually dead. Well, he did a good fucking job, didn't he? Cinema is a powerful medium, with the ability to shake things up. Audience distress is something that is still reported today. Stories of vomiting at screenings, ambulances called for the poor souls who couldn't make it to the end without fainting. Saw 3, 127 Hours, and Irreversible, all released with the accompanying literature. When Michael Winterbottom's The Killer Inside Me opened in 2010, it was discussed on national news stations for its depiction of violence towards women. Now, I just want to say her name correctly. Julia Ducournau? Ducournau?
No.
Ducournau?
Ducournau sounds...
Is it Ducournau?
I don't know, but it sounds better than Ducournau.
We'll just call it Julia's film. The most recent example of this being Julia Ducournau's feature debut, Raw. It's a coming-of-age tale that mixes body horror and Cronenbergian humour. It's a terrific film that unfortunately arrived with the same "I fainted into a puddle of my friend's puke" moniker. But history will show that films used to create far more extreme and, as Ruggero Deodato would testify, dangerous results. During the boom of home video during the 1980s in the United Kingdom, an absence of classification on VHS tapes led to the Director of Public Prosecutions coming down hard on the industry. I use the UK as an example because in those days, what went for Britain went for Ireland. Okay, so any film that the DPP wanted to prosecute and ban outright was put on a list now infamously known as the Video Nasties list, and the films on this included Friday the 13th, Evil Dead, The Hills of Eyes, and Scanners. With a tsunami of horror and erotic films now readily available to anyone with a VCR, the protection of children became the government's primary calling card.
Imagine a machine that plugs into your television and records programs from the Ariel onto a 2.5-hour cassette. A machine that records one channel while you're watching another.
Never before had such levels of violence and nudity debased TV screens. British authorities were given the power to seize any film on that list, and by seize I mean going into video rental stores and literally pulling VHS tapes down from the shelves.
So they just walk in. They would just walk in and be like, I'm fucking taking these. So like if I was working in one of them and I was just like, you know, hanging out for the summer.
Oh well, see, well, like what you would do is you'd be there doing your part-time job at Blockbuster. You're trying to pay off your college loan. You don't want to be there, and you're just after getting in a fresh copy of Blood and Black Laces after showing up. You have it on VHS tape, and you just want things to go nice and easy for you in the day, and then all of a sudden a big troop of British police officers will come in and ransack the place looking for your VHS tape.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And like, would you get in trouble if... Do you know the way at the back of like Extravision and stuff like that, they have the actual copies of the movies? Like when we go up and we buy a movie, what would happen if you didn't hand up every single copy? Would you get arrested? If you were like trying to like hide them?
I'd say you probably could, because you'd be in possession of what was deemed like
Video
contraband.
nasty, showing scenes of sadistic sex and violence horrific enough to have been seized by the police.
These films were deemed to be in breach of the Obscene Publications Act, thus making their content illegal for public consumption. However, with films being seized left and right, mistakes were bound to be made.
Don't open the window. Whatever's out there will wait. Rated R.
So, like, basically what happened was they had to basically make clearly defined rules on what films they could and could not take, and their searches had to become more thorough, because in one raid, one of the films that was listed that had been seized was Dolly Parton's Best Little Whorehouse in Texas.
No.
And clearly it's not about a, you know, that's they thought it was a porno, but obviously it's not. It's just a fucking Dolly Parton film. On the topic of taking things to extremes, I should mention the consequences for watching said outlawed material. So, this private film club put on a screening of an unclassified film print of flesh, and when the police found out, they came into the screen, raided the place, confiscated the print, and they arrested everybody in the audience.
What?
Yeah. They came in with like 30, 40 sets of
But
handcuffs.
did the people who went to see that movie, did they know they were watching an unclassified version of the movie?
I don't know.
And how many people were arrested? Like, probably...
Well, if it's a private film club, the screen wouldn't be that big, but I'd say it'd be like 20 to 40 people were all arrested just for watching a film that hadn't been rated by the BBFC. Which brings us back to finding yourselves in handcuffs, all because of a movie. There are a number of movies and filmmakers, not just Cannibal Holocaust, that have gone toe-to-toe with the law. A great example took place in the 90s, which involved the second installment of the Japanese torture series Guinea Pig, titled Guinea Pig, Flower of Flesh and Blood. Now, these films sound pretty awful. Like, they're only about 45 minutes long, every single one of them. And it's just one long, extended torture sequence. Now, this one in particular is of a guy who kidnaps a woman, he injects her with some shit and she passes out. And when she wakes up, she's tied to the table, and for the next 45 minutes you watch as he dismembers her. Now, I haven't seen the film, but you can watch clips of it on YouTube. Like, they're able for you to watch. And the film is so realistic in its depiction of violence that in the 90s, Charlie Sheen was given a copy of the VHS of this film from his friend. And he was so convinced that what he had just watched was an actual snuff film that he immediately contacted the FBI and got them to come out to his house. What I love about it is that, like, as soon as he saw it, he was just like, get this fucking thing out of my house. Like, it's the type of shit that when you're watching it, you're just like, you know, looking over your shoulder to see if anyone can see you watching it in the window. It's a bit like The Witch, actually. That version of The Witch. You know, there's shit that happens in that film where you're kind of like, oh god, is it even illegal for me to watch this? So the FBI took the VHS tape, and they then had to contact the authorities over in Japan, who then said that they had already investigated the film and that they had confirmed that it was actually fake. This next case goes out to all the animal lovers. In 1971, horror maestro Lucio Fulci faced incarceration, this time not on suspicion of murdered actors, but of dogs. A Lizard in a Woman's Skin tells the story of death and deception, where a woman dreams of murdering her next-door neighbour, only to discover that she may have been dreaming a little too vividly.
Among the annals of the abnormal, there is no more erotic a nightmare than the strange story of Lizard in a Woman's Skin.
The story is told through nightmarish sequences which blur reality and fantasy, until one becomes indistinguishable from the other. The film is fueled by violence and debauchery, but only one scene proved cause for concern: the hospital sequence. So Carrot Top is chasing actress Florinda Balkan through a seemingly empty hospital. So she hides in a room for a couple of minutes, she waits for him to go by, then she goes in the opposite direction, opens the door, and then holy shit, what the fuck is going on? Following the film's premiere, Fulci was arrested and faced a 2-year prison sentence because people had actually thought that he had taken 4 dogs and strung them up, split down the middle. Despite several crew members giving eyewitness accounts, the jury were unconvinced of the director's innocence. It wasn't until special effects artist Carlo Rambaldi presented the prop dogs to the court that Fulci was granted freedom. Like, in a way, that's a compliment to Carlo. I mean, you did such a good job, you got arrested for it. So in a way, it's a 5-star review. And what of poor old Ruggero and all those dead actors on his hands? Well, the cast were rounded up, paraded into an Italian courtroom, and the murder charges were dropped. Deodato's reputation as a horror filmmaker became legendary among his target audience, and followed up Cannibal Holocaust with The House on the Edge of the Park. Incidentally, one of the most heavily cut video nasties prosecuted by the DPP. It was found guilty of breaking the Obscene Publications Act, so I mean, the dude was like, you know, he just wanted to get arrested. While the case of murder may have been settled decades ago, Cannibal Holocaust is still a point of controversy to this day, questioning the ethics of guerrilla filmmaking. A Lizard in a Woman's Skin has scenes of fake animal cruelty and fake torture. Unfortunately, the same can't be said for Cannibal Holocaust, which resulted in the on-screen death of 7 animals, Guess the effects budget ran out on pretending to kill all the humans, but what do I know? Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, sure give it a like and a subscribe. And if you want to see more, Zoe has some great content in this channel too, so check it out. But what would she know? Oh, and don't forget to keep an eye out for Raw, which should be out on DVD and Blu-ray soon. It's really, really good. He was arrested and tasked with bringing in his cast and crew, right? Because they all thought that they were dead, okay?
This is what I actually have the same problem with. I can say it without looking at the camera. I did it loads of times when I was doing the Agatha Christie video.
Yeah.
And when I had to look at the camera, I kept messing up.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's like when you look into that fucking like black void that is the lens of a camera.
Yeah, you're
Just
like...
completely fucks you up. Yeah.